Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to put together a layout that I've mainly designed some elements in Cricut Design Space, but also done some paper trimming. And the collection I'm going to use is the Hillside Cottage collection. And the paper that I'm going to use today from the Hillside Cottage collection is this print here. If you look in our catalogues, it does give you a list of the coordinating coloured cardstocks, and it shows here that this is flamingo, but I've decided to pair it with desert rose and peach, which I think works really well together with this pattern. And I'm also putting it with some of our wood grain pattern paper from the core catalogue. The things I'm going to show you today is some splattering, and I'm going to do some swiping with an ink pad, and then I'm going to have an interactive element that is going to pop up from behind a photo holder. So let's get started making this. The first thing I'm going to do is some ink splattering with the Toffee shimmer brush. The reason why I'm doing this first, and I know this from experience, is because it does take a little bit to dry. So if you're trying to put elements down straight after you've done your splattering, this can smear. So I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to do this part first, just a few in the areas that I want to highlight that have things sitting behind it. And I'm going to set that aside to dry. Now I'm going to use almond ink on top of this just to give this a little bit more of a distressed look. You can see there's almost like a wood grain pattern through that, but I want to add a little bit more texture to it. So I'm just going over this with the almond ink pad, and you can see that's giving a nice look to the edges and the body of the paper. And that's all I need to do for that. And then I'm going to trim off from this section just 1/2 inch to make it almost like a zip strip. And now that I've trimmed that off, I've decided I want to bring my almond ink back in to add a little bit more to the edge of that piece of paper. Now while everything's drying, I'm also going to put this title together, and you can see before I didn't quite protect this enough, and I've got some ink splatters on here. So I'm actually going to run with that and add some more to this piece. So what I generally do with these titles that I create is place the pieces inside the area and then put the overlay on after. So I'm just going to add that in there. I've already started to put the insert pieces from the letters. So when you take things off the mat, you need to keep all these little pieces if you want to put them inside the letters. You don't have to. And now I'm going to come back in with my shimmer brush and just do a little bit of tapping over these areas so that these letters that are done in peach and dusty rose, no, not dusty rose, it's called desert rose, sorry, my apologies. Just to give them a little bit more texture, seeing as I splattered in areas that I didn't want to splatter before. So I'm going to set this aside to dry before I put the overlay on. With this photo mat here, I am going to assemble this piece, and it's going to slide up and down from behind it. So what I need to do is just put foam tape on the edges of this piece so that it will act as a runner for the sliding mechanism. Just want to make sure that I've done that correctly and there's enough room there for it to slide, which is all good. So I can adhere that down. And then we need a stopping mechanism for the bottom of the sliding piece here. So I'm going to use a zip strip. This is actually from the Holly Jolly paper, but I thought it fitted quite nicely. I'm going to trim this one at 5 inches, and I'm going to match that for the left side as well. And keep that piece aside to use in another area of my page. And because this is going to be a stopping mechanism, I want it popped up a little bit. So I'm going to get my 3D foam tape, and I'm actually going to apply that for the whole entire piece. And that will stop this piece here from sliding down to the bottom of the page. So let's put that piece together. And then I've got the overlay piece that I'm going to put on top. I'll just move this aside so I can work on my all-purpose mat to put the glue on this. Using this aqua liquid glue gives wiggle time so that you can get everything into place. And then I'm just going to put that aside and put a couple of blocks on it so that the glue dries. The next thing I'm going to do is adhere the title together. For this one, because it's quite long and got lots of curves on it, like I've shown before, I'm going to go around the edges and then adhere it. There are also a couple of camera elements to add as decoration, so I'm just going to adhere those as well. So I've got all of these pieces done. So what I'm going to do now is add some foam tape to the elements that I want popped up. So now I'm going to put all the elements together. I'm going to adhere this camera element directly to the page because I have my Happy Moments title. I really love actually how my accident of splattering toffee shimmer brush onto this element looks. It sort of adds a bit of fun to this title. So you can see with the left page, it's pretty much a replica of the base layouts with just the strips. And I've got some arrows to put on to point down towards features. I really love these ones because they do look like they're just hanging off the edge of an element. So they're really cool ones to use. This camera element is going down in this corner here. And by replicating these elements, it brings the whole layout together. So this is the journal box that's going to fit down in here. I've got some mink twine that I'm going to pull through to finish it off. And it gives people a place to hold on to this to pull it out from the layout. So that will slide down here like this. What I need to do is adhere this piece a little bit more securely so that it doesn't get stuck. Because you don't want your interactive elements to get caught up on pieces, which is why this shows through from the background, but it's got a full piece of the desert rose behind it, because if I just covered this part here, that would get caught on these strips of paper. So that sits beautifully just there like that, and if you use a top loading page protector, you'll be able to pull that out no problem at all. Or alternatively, you can cut a slit in the page protector. I'm hoping I'm getting everything like this on camera because it's a bit hard. So I'll put this back over here. So you can see how that pulls up and will stay in place once it's in the page protector. And then it's just a case of adding these final little elements here. So I'm going to do a bit of a switch around with this. I'm going to put this espresso one here. That one up in that corner. And this one looking like it's pointing towards this journal box. And I think what I want to do is that little piece that we kept before, I'm going to add that into here and use quite a bit of adhesive so that when I'm pulling this up and down or people are using it, it won't get caught. And I'm going to bring it out from the other side as well. So I'm going to put this so that it looks like it runs behind this element here. I'll put some still shots up at the end of the video, but what you can see with this, when you pull this up and down, it creates a secret little part of the layout that makes it interactive and quite fun. So when you pull this up, there's a bit of a surprise. You can put some hidden journaling, or you could put another photo under there if you wanted to. And using the camera elements across this page just brings the layout together and makes it quite cohesive. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed what you saw and learnt a little bit with the techniques of creating a little secret slider box and some ink splashing and also some swiping to distress the pattern papers.